and welcome to Matchday Matinee, the show where we take our love of football and work our way through a never-ending list of cinematic takes on the beautiful game. I'm Adam, your host for the day, and I'm joined by Mark, who's looking pretty swish in his white West Ham kit today. Pretty nice. And Raghav, who has been moonlighting watching some basketball tonight, apparently. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but we'll let it slide. How are you doing, gents?
Good. Doing good.
Hey, how's it going, Adam?
Yeah, I'm not bad. Considering what we're about to delve into, I am not doing too bad.
Superman shirt today?
Superman shirt, yeah.
More of a Batman guy myself, as we noted last week.
Yeah, Batman is cooler. Superman's a little bit too perfect, ain't he?
The Boy Scout.
I think so, yeah.
Batman is damn cooler. So
Robert Pattinson has COVID. Did you hear about that?
What? Oh, so I saw a headline like IGN or something like Batman movie in trouble. I guess that's why.
Who has COVID?
Robert Pattinson.
Oh, man.
The next Batman.
They need to get cracking with that film, I guess, because it's like stuck part way through production, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh. Okay, so we're not covering Batman today, unfortunately. We are covering a movie that rightfully or wrongfully did get made. Are you guys ready to dive into My English Soccer Adventure?
Yeah, it's ready as we'll ever be.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So this is a comedy following US soccer star Keeley Jones as she visits England to find out a bit more about one of the oldest teams in the world. When she gets there, she finds a club in turmoil and a manager on the brink. This film is directed by Warren Dudley. It stars Hannah Bang Benz and Roger O'Hara, and it was released in 2018. So I tried to look up other stuff these people have done, and interesting enough, Warren Dudley and Roger O'Hara, the only other major movie they did was a movie called Dogberry and Bob, where two American reporters come to England to find out what British policing is like. So like they've got a niche here kind of a type of movie they like to cover, like fish out of water America and learning what England's about. So this film is a low budget mockumentary. It was originally made as a show called Seaside Town, which was a web series of 6 12-minute episodes, and incredibly made on a budget of only £12,000 and 155 enthusiastic participants from the local community who really wanted to put Newhaven on the map. So Newhaven's on the coast. It's kind of south coast, kind of wedged between Brighton and Eastbourne. Newhaven are a genuine football team who were established in 1889. So are kind of one of the old, amongst up there with the older teams as they're established. They didn't join an actual league until 1899, which wasn't uncommon back then. They currently play in the Southern Combination League, which makes up tiers 9 to 11 in the south of England. So a bit of perspective, the league they're in feeds the Ishmael League, which then leads into National League South, then the National League, then League Two. So they're kind of they were in the Premier League. They were riding quite high before the last season got called off for COVID. Their most famous ex-player is a guy called Kerry Mayo, who played for Brighton 413 times. He was a defender. He moved to Newhaven in 2010, where he scored an incredible 11 goals in 17 games, which is pretty good going for a defender before he retired.
Wow.
So before we kind of dive into the movie a little bit, guys, what were your initial impressions coming in? What did you kind of think? I'm not expecting positive things, but Mark, your face is telling me you're going to struggle to tell me something good, so go for it.
Like my expectations coming into this were already low, and the movie somehow not surpassed. What's the opposite of surpassed? Underwhelmed?
Underwhelmed. Yeah.
Undermined my expectations. Yeah, this movie it's not even a movie. Like you can tell it's a web series that they stuck together into 60 minutes just to kind of sell on more platforms.
Yeah.
Everything about it sucks. It dips to these like black transitions. You could tell that's when like the web episode ended.
Yeah.
And then they use football quotes to try and add some depth to it, but they make no sense in context. The whole thing looks like it was shot on an iPhone. So when you said it cost £12,000, like that's surprising. Maybe they bought 12 iPhones to make this movie.
Maybe, actually. Because it was some scenes where multi-camera angles, so they must have had more than one.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, I'm going to say this looks like a university project that somebody did in media studies that they probably didn't get a good grade for. I will say, however, and I'm really clutching at straws here, but I will say that the concept is not bad. You know, getting a U.S. women's star to go around, or getting U.S. women's stars to go around the world and actually see how football is played around the world.
Yeah, and the conceit of it being like a reality show where they're all pulling names out of a hat is a kind of a good conceit. That's possibly, at that point, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But isn't that such like a disrespect too, that they're going to send like U.S. women's national team players to different parts of the world as if they're like exchange students to learn how soccer is.
Yeah, that's true as well. It's like they don't have clubs to play on their own where, you know. Yeah.
And then, we later learned that Keeley has already scored a goal against Mexico at the World Cup. So then why is she like demeaning herself to join this reality show?
Yeah.
So totally.
Yeah.
I feel much like you guys. Will kind of get into it as we get into the plot, but I love mockumentaries as a style. Like one of my favorite TV shows is The Office. I really like Spinal Tap. So this style I like, but this does like a terrible job at it.
I mean,
it neither feels nor realistic enough or funny enough to quite straddle that line. Like it's just a nothing film.
And just to your point, Mike Bassett was a mockumentary as well. And that was one of our favorites,
exactly,
right?
Yeah,
so,
like that's like
the concept is really good. Like you're saying, like the actual concept itself is actually really good. It's just the execution of it.
Yeah, the execution is horrible. Yeah.
Even now, like you have Ted Lasso, that Apple TV series, and like granted, one is made by the richest company in the world, and the other is made by a group of students, like you were saying, most likely. But the concept is pretty solid. It's just the way you execute it, and this film lands flat in every attempt that it does.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the movie then. So it starts with that famous Bill Shankly quote. Some people believe football is a matter of life and death. I'm disappointed with that attitude. I can assure you it's much, much more important than that.
Yep.
The only interesting thing about this in the context of this film is this quote's kind of like misquoted and misrepresented, because if you go and read the whole interview, Bill Shankly was kind of talking about his own experience and what football means to him and how he put his heart and soul into the game, and then how it was kind of like to the detriment of like his family life and his poor wife and stuff. And then someone kind of asked him if he regretted it, and he was like, no, and then kind of gave this quote. So I don't know why the film decided to open on this and kind of what it was trying to instill, possibly that this means stuff to this, like, because they do try and sell. One thing they do a sort of good job is instilling Newhaven as being the center of the community, and Keeley kind of takes away like, oh, maybe we need more of that in the US. So that's the only reason I think they maybe open with that quote. But yeah, so we get this reality show. Everyone's going off to like famous clubs like Boca Juniors and stuff, super excited. And then Keeley pulls hers out of the hat, and it's Newhaven FC that no one's heard about. We get introduced to Bob pretty early on. And this is where I was like, okay, this humor is not for me. This is not funny. Because rather than come downstairs to meet her, he still wants to shake her hand, and he passes down like a broom with like a marigold glove on the end of it to shake her hand. And she's just like, what the hell? This is where we first see him dressed in a flat cap, and he's clearly inspired by Brian Clough here, because he's wearing the green sweater and the like white polo shirt with a collar. And it's just like, it's kind of just disrespectful. She's like, I'm here to learn about the birthplace of football. And then, so this is one of the scenes where I start to think they are genuinely just ripping bits from The Office that are kind of the English Office. I don't know how well you guys know it, but
in the first season.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
He calls his mum in a care home to kind of ask her when it was he first played football or something, or first went to a football ground, and to ask how old he was, because he can't remember. And in the English Office, there's a scene where David Brent calls a care home, or he's getting calls from a care home about his dad. And he's at a quiz night, and he asks the person, he doesn't care what's going on with his dad. He asks the quiz person, oh, what's the like capital of Argentina or something? And they're like, oh, right, okay, cheers. And they walk off. And it's just like, they're trying so hard to copy it. And then there's just this weird joke about his uncle Brendan that dies. And he shows a fat set of pants. And it's just like, and he's like there staring at the camera, these massive pants. And it's just like,
I let out a bit of a laugh for that. Like I knew the joke was coming. It was so telegraphed, but
so the joke was that he's 5'1", and then he holds out the pants, and then he's like, "I wonder what could have killed him." Right? She's kind of being sarcastic. I wonder what could have killed him, and he's like, "Yeah, nobody knows. Really, nobody knows." Yeah, the delivery was so weak, man.
Yeah. There's no way of knowing, and then.
And that's the thing. This guy comes across as like he's trying to do a poor like impression of Ricky Gervais's David Brent, like the whole way through. He does weird little mannerisms. It seems like that's where he cribbed from. Like, what mockumentary can I do? And it's like even some of his mannerisms, like he goes some of the time, and some of his like when he's doing his team talks, it's almost like David Brent-ish. It's just but like a way worse version. So we see him getting
so many different things.
Yeah. We see him getting crap off fans in the street. They've played 26 games and drawn 2. He says that he's seen the players' hard work and he thinks that they're rubbish. And then it's revealed that it's not even the men's team he manages, actually the kids' team.
A few times. Was that the scene where he sees some supporters and he runs up to them and he takes like 4 minutes to climb over a fence?
Yeah, something like that.
No, that was in the end, I think, where he takes 4 minutes to climb the fence. I think this is where they're both walking to the ground.
Oh, and they just hurl abuse at him.
Yeah, they just hurl abuse at him. Yeah.
Just man, it's just so much cringe in this movie.
Yeah,
like you just feel bad for the actors, and none of the jokes land. And
yeah.
So we cut back 3 weeks at this point to see Keeley in her hometown of Chicago, and we learn that her dad played for Chicago in the 80s, and we get a very quick snap of some NASL footage.
That was cool. The Chicago Sting footage, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah.
And you saw like the center circle. It was only very briefly. They talk about Clough and Ferguson and the things that her dad liked. And then they talk about how bad the goalkeeper is. And this, there was, again, a joke I kind of didn't get. They were like, oh, David Seaman, who's kind of like Hope Solo, but with a mustache. And it's just like, sure, David Seaman had a mustache and he is a different gender to Hope Solo. Like, yep, okay, don't get the reference unless Hope Solo was also famous for like saving penalties or making last minute mistakes, which David Seaman did in a cup final once. Like, I don't.
Who do you think the audience for this movie was? Like with a reference like that?
Dude, so I asked myself this question while I was watching this movie, and I'm like, I don't know who this movie's geared towards at all. It's not kids, I don't think.
No.
Right? It's guys like us who are just...
It's not slapstick and funny enough for kids.
Yeah.
And then there was a joke, like he's talking about his 2 dogs, Bigfoot and the Hendersons.
Yeah.
And it's a Harry and the Hendersons joke. And I'm like, nobody would find that funny. That was a movie that was so obscure, like John Lithgow from 30 years ago.
And it's not, again, like, that wasn't funny. It was just like, okay, why did they put that in? Like, I found myself querying so many of the punchlines rather than laughing. But yeah, I don't know. That means somebody with historic knowledge of English football and current-ish knowledge of women's American football to have any idea who those 2 references are.
No.
Yeah. It's really weird. Then next we get a weird joke about, this is another joke, again, makes no sense. He's bought all this pasta because he learned that Americans really like pasta. And then the wife's like, yeah, and he bought Arsene Wenger's book, not to learn about football, but to learn about pasta. And it's like, why Arsene Wenger? He's French. Like, pick the most Italian footballer you can think of that's played in the Premier League, like Gianfranco Zola or somebody, or Vialli. Get their autobiography there, not Arsene Wenger.
I don't even get the pasta joke.
I don't either. I'm like, is it joking about like Italian Americans?
No. So this is what I'm going to think. Like, this is what I think. So it's kind of common knowledge that in America, but this is in Europe as well, that, they like athletes carbo load. So there's a lot of pastas going on in training, like after training, after matches to basically energize, right? So I think that's the joke.
But even that's kind of stolen from The Office when Michael does the 5K.
And he has that massive Alfredo.
Yeah. And then he throws up. Like, yeah. So they stole the joke, but they didn't even do it well.
Yeah.
Maybe there was a scene where he carbo loads and he throws up everywhere or something, but
maybe
it's weird.
Next, we cut to one of the mums written a statement. The parents want Keeley to become the manager based on like nothing at all, other than the fact that they think she's maybe more competent than Bob is.
But she would be famous, right? That's another thing, that she shows up and everyone's kind of unfazed by her. But
yeah,
she would be a famous, like worldwide known soccer, like a Carly Lloyd or Alex Morgan, right?
So
how many people in a little sleepy town near Brighton would be that into women's football to know?
But I think if you said, so especially in a country that loves its football, if you said Alex Morgan or you said Marta or somebody, you don't think so?
Yeah.
No, I think there's not to disparage my fellow countrymen, but I think there's a lot of people that are still very dismissive of women's football to the point they might know the England players, but outside of that, they wouldn't know. No. I think it's increasing better, and like there's more coverage now. Like
the WSL, right?
Yeah, they cover a lot, and like Football Weekly podcasts and stuff do their best to cover even like European women's football and stuff. But I'm not sure if they'd recognize them in the street or know their reputation or anything.
So here's the other thing. I think it's at this point where, you know, she's in a circle. Actually, before, when he's yelling at the goalkeeper, and then I don't know, something happens, and somebody was asking, "Hey, how many of you have seen my goal against Mexico in the World Cup?" As you were alluding to before, and everybody raises their hand. Right,
which is kind of weird. Yeah, it's like still, I didn't buy that all these kids are like clamoring to watch women's US national team, but so yeah, and there's another weird scene that's kind of a copy from The English Office where he's like, who agrees with this, and he gets them all to put their hand up. Same thing happens in The English Office when David Brent's mad about who's the funniest manager, and he wants everyone to put their hands up. And then we cut to Bob doing this weird like stitch-up video of his own, where he's like, "This is the worst stitch-up since Making a Murderer," where they found that guy guilty, and it's just like
Making a Manager.
Yeah, Making a Manager calls it. It's just not funny. Yeah. And then he keeps going. He says it twice. He's like, Spandau Ballet, Sweets You Can't Get Anymore, Mousetrap, and White Dog Poo. I don't know where that's gone now. This was the only thing that like sort of was funny, but more it piqued my curiosity because there was a thing growing up, the field behind my house, there was always white dog poo around the edge of the football pitch. And I guess it is gone now because they've got better at cleaning up spaces where kids are going to play football. So it wasn't funny. It was more like an observation. Like, yeah, you don't see white dog poo that's got all toxic and is like rotting in a field anymore because they've got better at cleaning up. But it wasn't funny. And then they repeated it again because when he goes to see he sees some underage girls and he says the same line to them again.
Oh, yeah, that scene where they ask him to buy him beer or something.
And he buys them beer to kind of say how he's good. He goes to spy on training, gets stuck on a tree trunk for like hours. He eats a Twix for no reason. A Frenchman comes to ask him for directions and they end up at a swimming pool. This next scene, Keeley tries to make her peace, but he isn't interested because he's too busy reading Pele's book, which was too funny because Pele appears in yet another film that we've covered.
Has he appeared in every movie we've done this season?
Except for Tsubasa.
Right. It's too short.
Yeah.
It's too animated, I guess.
We have to keep a counter.
Did he make an appearance in Shaolin Soccer? No.
Maybe.
I don't know.
We're going to have to double check all it. It'll probably be on his IMDb. He probably maintains that page himself, like his goal scoring records.
He was in summer of 92 for sure.
Yeah.
Waving.
Maybe not.
Wouldn't have been when Saturday comes unless...
You never know in the little brother's room.
Yeah, in the little brother's room, yeah. Then there's this whole weird subplot about how Bob's trying to like still make a living. Now he's not at the football club and now he delivers pizzas and stuff, but his car broke down so he has to use a taxi and basically loses money. This is where Keeley gives the kind of meh speech about who saw her goal in the World Cup against Mexico. This is where we get the joke about the dog. Keeley decides to leave. She gets her dream transfer to Chicago. So that's one thing I'm not quite sure on. So like we've said, she's someone that's going to be in this documentary or this reality show. She's also scored a World Cup goal, but she lives in Chicago, but somehow doesn't play for Chicago. So I wasn't quite sure where she was supposed to play to have achieved as much success as she apparently has, but then lives in. It made me think she maybe plays for a lower league team or something, or like the second team. But then I was like, but no, she's been at the World Cup.
I think with women's football up until very recently, I think the national teams are their teams. I think that's the perception anyways. Like My team is Team USA, or my team is I play for England, right?
Yeah. When did NWSL start? 2012, I want to say.
Yeah, but I just don't think
national team actually subsidizes it.
Yeah, but I don't think women's football is as driven by club football as the men's game is, of course, right?
Saying, yeah.
So
it's country versus club versus the other way around.
So I think the club thing is like very secondary, whereas in like club and country are equal in the men's game.
And then Keeley goes to tell him, "Hey, I'm moving back home. I want you to be manager." So he's doing some weird flash dance thing with his wife, where he's dressed up like an 80s dancer. She goes back home and sees her dad's old boots that her mum wants to give her, and they say Rude Hullet on them for like no reason other than probably, hey, we found these old Rude Hullet boots. Let's just use these. And then Bob gives another really weird speech that he's read. There's one joke that was already spoiled if you watch the trailer when he says, we met Keeley and I really wanted to nail her. And then he turns the page and he's like, picture to a wall. And for a second, you see like a shocked man stood in the shower cubicle watching on. And it's just kind of like, okay, that's kind of, again, though, who's this film for?
There's another one just like that where I think she's trying to apologize to him and she's like, come on, right? And he's like, don't come on me, right? Like,
right, yes.
But that was like a Harold and Kumar joke that was done even better then.
Then we get this weird dance scene where everyone looks on in horror just before the game, like he's doing it to motivate everyone. I actually had to look up. I was like, is this song made up for this film? And it's not. This song is Misty's Big Adventure, and the song is called The Story of Love. If anyone's desperate to hear that terrible song.
That's an original song for this?
No, it's Misty's Big Adventure, an actual band. They've got a whole discography. And their songs are all pretty terrible, just like this one. And he breaks his ankle dancing. And it's like, okay, brilliant. The game ends. We've learned the game gets abandoned due to a ankle injury. And then they have the awards night where they do a round of applause because I guess Bob ends up in hospital, then gets sick in hospital, and genuinely might die. But they kind of say, and we get this reveal. There's a kid in this, I guess a teenager or young adult in this whole film that's wearing like a Brighton top, and Bob just gives him shit all the time. And we learn that it's actually his son, Clive. He doesn't talk in the whole movie.
Yeah.
So they have the awards dinner. Keeley comes back. She gives a speech. She somehow has £35,000 to save the club from having to fold, which we kind of missed over the club's going bankrupt.
Not she has that money.
Yeah, exactly. Not quite sure how she can afford that when she clearly still lives in a condo with her mum.
She's a women's soccer, team star.
So she gives a sort of crappy speech, and then rather than everyone like laughing like they did when Bob did it, she does the same dance and everyone joins in and is having a great old time. And then Bob shows up in like a shop mobility scooter, leg in a cast, where everyone's happy. And that's kind of the film comes to an end, and Bob does like it's called Indie Starter Pitch, where like people can chip in money for his show, and he'll give them like signed bags of pizza and crap. It's just a very trying to tap into internet culture, but not quite nailing the joke again, like much of the film.
When that popped up with like the little Indie Starter thing, I thought they were acknowledging people who had contributed to make this movie.
Yes, I thought maybe the same thing.
So I was like, oh, that makes sense. It's an indie budget thing funded by fans, but no, it's another bad joke.
Yeah.
Another the entire back half of the movie is his documentary, Making a Manager.
Yeah.
With like a Comic Sans logo and stuff. It's just, it's like scary.
Somebody thought they were making a cool stylistic choice there, didn't they? Like, oh yeah, we'll do this and everyone will know that it's a different film.
Yeah, and they thought like, oh, Comic Sans is like an in-joke that's funny, so we'll do that. But it's almost like Scary Movie when they make references that are almost outdated a year later, or not even.
Yeah, those films got really bad at that as they went later on. Okay. Usually at this part of the show, we talk about Footy Flicks, but I don't know if you noticed, but there's genuinely like very little football. There is one scene where Bob is auditioning for a new goalkeeper after he like slams the kid that's been playing in goal and telling him he's pathetic and useless. And he gets the players to all line up and kick a ball whilst yelling like, run, get the ball. And it's just like, they're all kicking the ball. And that's about it for Footy Flicks, unless I'm missing one.
Yeah, there's one more that's going to be my choice for Footy Flicks, and that's where the main girl is coaching. I forgot her name already. Keeley. Yeah, Keeley's coaching. And they're actually going around the pylon, like actually trying to dribble around the pylon.
Okay, yeah.
So that would be probably my favorite one. And then there's also the NASL scene, but I don't know if you actually see them playing or just at the center circle.
I think they like kick off and then it cuts away. Like it's so brief.
Yeah. That's still going to be my choice. Because even when that popped up, I was like, oh wow, it's somewhat legit.
Yeah. And they paid somebody for that footage or dug it out somewhere. I don't know if that's
they did the same thing in Kicking and Screaming. They use like old NASL footage.
Yeah.
Must be cheap to license.
Okay,
who's going to sue them?
Exactly. Who protects that stuff now, I guess?
Actually, even the new NASL is under.
Yep.
They went down too. So I have no idea who owns any of that footage now. It's interesting.
It's probably USSF, I'm going to guess.
I don't know, because USSF doesn't own even with MLS, right? They don't own the rights to it.
I guess, yeah.
There's probably some rights holder in Iowa that bought the library.
Yeah, probably. So, So my favorite Footy Flicks is the pylons. Mark's is the non-existent, the center circle kickoff with non-existent football. Yeah. And then yours would be when the kids are kicking it, when they're trying out for goalkeeper.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we only got three to pick from, right? We may as well pick one each.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So that's that film. That's the Footy Flicks. Any other lasting impressions you guys kind of have to say about this film? Okay, so we haven't got as many Footy Flicks. What in a terrible film? What was the funniest scene?
I'm going to go with the shorts, the Uncle Shorts. We have no way of knowing how he died, and they hold open.
Maybe
I laughed a bit at that, and that was it. Everything else was just like a cringe, like painful to get through.
What about you, Adam?
I'll say the dog poo thing, but not because it was funny, just because it piqued my curiosity about council's cleaning methods of local ballpark areas.
I don't know, man. Some of the scenes were funny just because they were so stupid. I don't know, like when he's injured after he does the dance and he does the ankle. I don't know why, but I just kind of had a brief laugh at him having the entire orange juice carton and drinking out of a straw. I don't know why. But,
yeah, like a massive, family size orange juice carton. Yeah.
He got the norovirus, I think you were saying.
Yeah, the norovirus. That's it. Yeah,
replenishing his vitamins.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was the funniest scenes in a very unfunny movie. You guys ready for some trivia?
Let's do it.
Okay. So let's recap. The scores on the doors are Raghav with 4, Mark with 4, both joint top, and me trailing behind in 3. So you guys have kind of got a chance to pull away from me a little bit here. So I went 4 because Keeley was an American in England. I've gone for questions that are all focused around Americans being in the Premier League. So the first question, and there's a bit of a nuance to this, so you've got to listen carefully. There have been a number of US goaltenders in the Premier League, but which of them kept the most clean sheets in the least number of appearances? So most clean sheets in the least number of appearances. So Tim Howard, Casey Keller, Brad Friedel, or Brad Guzan. And Raghav, you can go first.
Least amount of appearances? I'm going to say Casey Keller.
No, sorry. Wait, did I say least? I meant most. God, I'm so sorry. Most clean sheets in the least number of appearances.
I'm still going to go Casey Keller.
Okay, you went Casey Keller. Mark.
I'm going to say Brad Guzan just to mix it up.
You are both wrong. It was actually Tim Howard.
Oh, really?
Oh, really?
So Tim Howard kept 132 clean sheets in 399 appearances and also scored 1 goal. Casey Keller was 55 clean sheets in 210 appearances. Right. Brad Friedel, and this is where the nuance was, he also had 132 clean sheets in 450 appearances. And Brad Guzan only had 29 and 154. Okay. Which of these US internationals has never played in England? Michael Bradley, Alexi Lala, Lando Donovan, or Brian McBride? Mark, you can go first.
Alexi Lawless, Michael Bradley,
Lando Donovan, and Brian McBride.
Donovan was at Everton. I want to say Michael Bradley.
Okay, Raghav.
Ooh. I'm between Michael Bradley and Alexi Lalas. I know Lalas played for Padua in Italy. Let me go with Alexi Lalas.
Raghav, you get the point. So everybody else did. Michael Bradley made 3 appearances for Aston Villa. Lando Donovan, of course, played for Everton, and Michael McBride played for Fulham.
Fulham, yeah.
Yeah, Bradley, I was on the fence. I thought he went right to Roma, but I guess not.
No.
So that's 1 point for Raghav. Okay, so somebody is guaranteed to get a point in this next game.
Oh, shit.
So I stole this from the Football Ramble, not going to pretend it's my own. So there are a number of US players who have played for more than one English club. So we're going to kind of play a little game of how many clubs can you name. So you'll each kind of put your bid in, and then whoever has the highest bid has to try and name them. If that person doesn't hit their target number, then the other person wins that round, and whoever wins the most rounds at the end gets the point for the trivia. So the first player is current US international DeAndre Yedlin, who has played for 3 clubs. So Mark, how many of those 3 clubs do you think you could name?
DeAndre Yedlin. I know for sure 1. I'm going to say 1. 2. 1.
1. Okay. Raghav, can you go any higher than that? Do you think you can name 2 clubs that DeAndre Yedlin has played for?
Okay, but you're saying for sure he's played for 3. We got to name as many as we can.
He's played for 3 in the Premier League, yeah.
I'm going to go for 2.
Okay. Do you want to raise him, Mark, or is he going to let him name the 2?
Do I lose points if I try and go 2?
He'll get the point if you don't.
Okay, I'm going to say 2. I'll try 2.
Okay. So we'll have to do this round robin because you've both guessed 2. So Raghav, you can go first.
So I named the first one only?
Yeah.
Newcastle United?
Yep, so that's 1.
Oh. I think I screwed up. I'm going to say Spurs.
Yep.
Oh.
So Raghav, the other 3rd club.
Well, I can't say Spurs. That would be my 2.
No, you could have guessed something else.
Spurs, Newcastle United. Aston Villa?
No, it was not. So the point goes to Mark. It was Sunderland was the other one he had played for.
Oh, my God.
That's right.
Just my days.
Okay, next player is the aforementioned keeper we already mentioned, Casey Keller.
Yeah.
So he has played for 4 Premier League teams, starting his career in 1996 and ending it in 2008. So Raghav, we'll go with your bid first. So out of the 4, how many do you think you could name?
1.
Okay. Mark, do you think you can go any higher than 1?
I'll try 2.
Okay. So Raghav, do you want to outbid him, or are you going to let him name them 2?
I'll go for 2.
Okay. Mark, do you want to outbid him? Do you think you can do 3?
Let's go with 3.
Raghav, do you want to
I'll go for 3. I'll go for 3.
Okay. Mark, are you going 4?
I don't even know what club he's paid for. I'll go 4.
All right.
Why not?
Okay. Raghav, do you want to try and beat him for the 4, or do you want him to name the 4 teams?
I want him to name the 4 teams.
Okay, Mark, go on then. Who would name 1 club Casey Keller has played for?
Fulham.
No. Yes, sorry.
Yeah?
Yes, that was the last club he played at. Sorry.
Awesome.
Yes, Fulham.
Back to Raghav?
No, because you're just naming all 4 because he didn't equal you bet.
Fulham, Everton?
No, I'm afraid not. So he played for Leicester City, Tottenham Hotspur
was going to be my
Southampton, and Fulham. So Raghav gets the point.
Woo.
Okay, so this one's a bit trickier. We're going way back in time here to the first season of the Premier League. 1992, this man started his career and ended it in 1999. It is John Harkes, who played for 3 clubs. Mark, what's your bid for John Harkes?
I'm going to say 1.
Okay.
I'm going to match him with 1.
Okay. Do I hear 2, Mark?
No. Unfortunately.
Okay, I guess we'll see if you can... I don't know how we'll do this if you both name 1 each.
He's played for 4 clubs?
3.
3?
So yeah,
So then we'll just split the. I guess either nobody gets points, or we each get, or we'll split.
Yeah, if you both name one club, you both get a point. Okay. So Mark, what's your one club?
I'm just going to guess. I'm going to say Sheffield.
Which Sheffield?
Son of a bitch. United.
No, it was Sheffield Wednesday. So I guess Raghav gets the point. Raghav, who would you have said?
Harks? I wanted to say Nottingham Forest.
Yep, that's where you ended up. I think under Clough as well, actually. And then the other team was the team you were in the jersey of, Mark. It was West Ham. Okay, so that means Raghav is 2-1 in the lead for this event so far. So the next one, played between 2004 and 2011, it is defender Jonathan Spector.
Yes.
He played for 3 clubs. So Raghav, how many of the 3 clubs do you think you could name?
2.
Okay. Mark, do I hear 3 or do you want Raghav to name the 2?
Ooh, maybe I can name the 3rd. I'm going to go with 2.
Okay.
Tell him to name the 2.
Okay, name the 2, Raghav.
Aston Villa and West Ham.
No, West Ham was correct. Aston Villa was wrong. He played for Man United and Charlton.
Oh, f***ing hell. Oh, sorry. I wasn't supposed to swear, but...
That's okay. So we have a tie break, which is fine. So the last one is the goalkeeper we'd already mentioned, Brad Friedel. He played for 4 Premier League clubs between 1997 and 2014. So 4 clubs. Raghav, how many of them do you think you can name?
I'm going to go for 3.
Okay, 3. Mark, do you think you can do 4? Or do you want him to name the 3?
Name the 3, please.
Name the 3? Yeah, I was just taking the easy way out now, man. So
I can think of one, that's it.
So Liverpool.
Yep.
Tottenham.
Yep.
And Aston Villa.
Yep, correct.
Son of a gun.
And the other one was Blackburn Rovers.
Yes, it was.
Also, incredibly, Brad Friedel played in 310 consecutive Premier League games at one point. I think straddling his time with Blackburn and Tottenham, which is kind of insane. So yeah, Raghav gets the point there. So at the end of the quiz for this week, puts Raghav out in front with 6 points, Mark in second with 4 points, and I'm like lagging behind now with 3 points.
Nice.
So, Good job, Raghav. I guess you are the quizmaster next week, so it's a chance for us to catch up.
Absolutely. And what movie are we doing? We're doing Goal 2.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
I'm going to start revising on some La Liga, I guess.
La Liga and Premier League, right? And just in time for both of the leagues starting, right, on September 12th.
Yep, we're almost there. Back with football again.
Yep.
The question is, which league will Messi be playing in when it kicks off?
That's very true.
That's a very interesting question. Could be either one of them.
Okay, enough of that, guys. Talking about Premier League and La Liga tables. Let's talk about our table. So, currently we have reviewed 4 films. We have Captain Tsubasa, number 4. When Saturday Comes at number 3. Shaolin Soccer at number 2, and Summer of 92 at 1. Where do we see this falling? Raghav.
First of all, I just want to make something clear. Is this harping on, or is this very similar to that scenario we had last season with the what's it called, the FIFA movie? United Passions? Are we at that level with this or no?
No, because that was such a... It was propaganda? Like a corporate, propaganda piece that was done with malintent.
I got you.
This is like a student art project. You can't harp too much on.
At least this has heart and sort of. I don't know where, but this was a passion project to somebody for the right reasons. Like they wanted to bring attention to the city of Newhaven, right? They weren't trying to blow their own trumpet about how they brought football to the world or anything. They were just trying to be like, yeah, we've got a nice community here, nice local club. You should come on down and like see the beauty of Newhaven.
You've convinced me, but even so, it's going 5th behind Captain Tsubasa.
Okay, Mark.
Yeah, 5th, definitely. Were you considering throwing this all the way into 12th, Raghav?
I think that's what you meant about the United Passions.
No, I was just getting your opinion whether it's just...
No. I don't think it deserves to go straight to 12.
Not straight to 12, but like 10th. No.
But other films will definitely... It's not...
But it's okay, it'll go down naturally anyways, so I think.
Okay. So that was a pretty easy discussion, so we put it down in 5th. good effort, my English soccer adventure. It just wasn't to be. Not with us, at least.
No.
So, Raghav, where can people find you on the internet if they want to check what you're up to?
So Twitter, Instagram, at Raghav Sandhu. Available there. Add me.
Okay, and Mark, how about you?
Instagram at 83football and on Twitter at Mark83.
Cool. And I am Joypad Goalposts on Twitter and Instagram. At the time of recording, there's a new episode finally out actually tomorrow, but it'll already be out by the time you listen to this, so go and watch it.
It was excellent.
Pretty exciting. It's going to be exciting.
I'm just
stuff.
predicting.
Yeah, it was excellent. Yeah.
Great episode. I watched it.
Brilliant. So good. And that's it, I guess, guys. So thank you for joining us. As we already mentioned, we will be doing Goal 2 next week. So that's kind of exciting. But with nothing else to say, from the terrace to the theatre of dreams, we are Matchday Matinee. And thank you very much for joining us. See ya.
Later.
See ya.